call me crazy. I think games matter. I mean, we have teams play each other to find out who's better. Okay, and I get it. I get it. There are dumb losses. Nick calls them dumb ones. The Chiefs will have a dumb loss. Yeah. I get that. We'll throw those out. Raiders beating the Ravens. Dumb loss. We'll throw that out. Okay. Even close losses, 2 points, 3 points, heck, 7 or even 10, where a break here or there and the outcome is different. Sure. But 25 points? 25 points is hard to unsee. I can't unsee the fact that the Ravens took the Bills to the woodshed. Yes,
you do this every week.
The Ravens,
he does
because it's a travesty. It says there right on the screen that the Bills are ahead of the Ravens. Not only did they smash them one-on-one, head-to-head, they have the better quarterback. Yes, I'm taking Lamar over Josh Allen. They have the best running back, obviously, of the two teams. Buffalo, coach did the strength of victory. They're 2-2 against teams that would be in the playoffs now. The Ravens are 4-2 against teams that would be in the playoffs.
What are the Ravens against teams that wouldn't be in the playoffs right now?
I don't know, but that's 4-2 against teams that would be in the playoffs. That's what I measured about when you played against, because you can have a dumb one, and they've had a couple dumb ones, all right? But when they had to play the Bills head-to-head, they smashed them. And the defense, which has been the biggest concern about the Ravens, is starting to find its footing. They faced 2 playoff teams the last 2 weeks, held them to 20 points a game, giving up 2 touchdowns, Coach, in the last 2 weeks. The Ravens defense is starting to come along. They should be ahead of the Bills. I thought it wasn't the standard.
It's not the standard.
I thought it wasn't the standard. Because that's the only argument you got. Because they smashed them when they played head-to-head.
It's not the only argument I've got. But you're using the last 2 weeks as evidence that this team is surging when they lost one of those games.
Better.
So let me ask you this. If the Ravens lose this week to Philly and Buffalo,
which you don't think they will,
I understand.
But you
have I'm asking you a question. If they lose this week to Philly and Buffalo wins, at that point, and Buffalo is 10-2 and Baltimore is 8-5. At that point, would you be okay with Buffalo being ahead of Baltimore?
No.
Okay, well then,
because if I want the records, the standings, I can go pick up one loss. The USA Today.
But
I can go pick up the USA Today.
No, so it's
5 losses. You can still end up 12-5.
Then it's just head-to-head.
No.
So let's put the Raiders up there. No,
the Bills will beat an injury-depleted Niners team, and the Ravens could lose to one of the teams that might be the best team in the league. Just because the Bills beat Kansas City, which they've done in the past, who else have they beaten? That's because they lost to Houston, a Houston team that's struggling. They got smashed by a Baltimore team that to you is kind of struggling.
Yeah, I thought they played.
What makes the Bills so good?
The Bills were not the same team before they got Amari Cooper. They did play poorly against Baltimore, but there is also a flaw in your logic of teams. Listen, teams have a dumb one. And you kept saying a dumb one, and then explained how Baltimore
Cleveland, that's a division game. That's a tough game.
That's not a tough game.
It is a tough game.
Okay, it is. Is Cleveland one of the worst teams in football?
No.
No.
I mean, depending on how low you go, they're not Carolina. They're not the Raiders.
Hold on. They have the same amount of wins as Carolina.
Man.
What do you mean? You just said they're not the Raiders. What is the Ravens?
They got a good defense.
Right, which the Ravens don't. And you are arguing for
these last 2 weeks. I'm starting to think.
All right, at this point,
I guess we can start calling it the standard.
No, because it's not.
Because that's the only argument you have.
No, this deep into the year, record does matter to a degree.
What games have the Bills looked great in?
They looked great against Kansas City 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
the same week that the Ravens lost to Russell Wilson and the Steelers.
Steelers are a good team.
Okay, right, which is why they're on right next to another
good. The Bills beat the Chiefs. That's why they're number 2.
No, that's okay.
It. I mean, Detroit's 10-1.
Okay. This is great. This turned into Skip and Shannon. Undisputed. Let's go. First off, Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. I know that is an incredibly controversial statement for a lot of Baltimore Ravens fans. And before you come at me and say that I'm a hater, that I'm this, I'm that, just go to my channel, just search Lamar Jackson or Baltimore Ravens, and you will see endless videos of me praising and defending Lamar Jackson, defending him. But Josh Allen is a better quarterback, and I believe that. It's not by miles, but Josh Allen is a better quarterback. I think Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Okay, that's the way I feel about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Listen, this whole idea that head-to-head is just the end-all be-all is just so absurd. I get where they're both coming from in that regard, and I get how Brou is trying to justify some of the losses from the Ravens, and then kind of how Nick is kind of going to the extreme and saying, well, fine, then put the Raiders up top. But it's like, both things can be true and both things can be false at the same time. And I think, though, can you elevate the Ravens? Because I have the Ravens higher up. I have them... I moved it somewhere. I don't even know where it is right now. But I have them up. You know, for me, the way where I have it is I have the Eagles, the Bills, and the Eagles, the Bills, and the Lions in one tier at the very top. Then I have the Chiefs. Then I have the Ravens. So the Ravens are right there. They are a top team in the NFL, top 5 team in the NFL, and I firmly believe that. But listen, this is where it's so bizarre when trying to evaluate some of these teams, because you can still think that the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL or the Bills are the best team in the NFL and still have the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, able to beat them. I mean, the level of consistency that the Ravens have been able to bring has just not been good. And I understand that the Bills have, you know, a couple really bad losses. The Texans and the Ravens, they're a completely different team. That game versus the Ravens really got away from the Bills very quickly. I think the Bills have evolved as a team, just like you would make the argument that the Ravens have evolved, that the Eagles, that the Lions, that the Vikings, the Packers, the Steelers, like every team, the Chiefs. At this point, what really happened early on in the season, it's hard to figure out how much stock to put into that, honestly. At this point, I don't even know if the first 5 weeks even matter, let alone the first 6, 7, 8 weeks. I really don't. I'm still trying to figure that out to myself. And if it matters season to season, team to team, year to year, like how to really even unpack that, honestly. The way how I've seen the Ravens play and how I've seen the Bills play, I'm just not like, well, the Ravens are clearly better. Like, I don't care what that game, what that head-to-head matchup looked like. And the other question is, it's kind of interesting. Can you be a better team? Can you say, hey, you know what? I think the Bills are the best team in the NFL, but I think they'll lose to the Ravens. Like, can that statement be true? And in a way, we know that Nick believes that to be true because he thinks that the Chiefs are the best, and yet they still lost to the Bills. Now, I'm sure if you ask Nick, if the Bills played 3 times, you know, a best of 3 series, would the Chiefs win 2 out of 3? I'd love to know his answer to that, or if he just thinks, no, he has the Chiefs at the top because come time playoffs, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs will just be the better team in that moment, out-coaching, out-playing, etc., etc. That's why all of these things have such layers when trying to figure out. That's what makes football so fascinating and so unique, because there is a difference between playing regular season versus playoff. There is a difference between being at home, on the road, freezing cold, nice weather, indoors, outdoors. You know, best of 3, win or go home. Like, it's just a lot to go on. You could dominate every single team, but be poorly matched against another team. We saw the Ravens last year absolutely dominate some teams like the Dolphins, like the 49ers, only to lose 17-10 against the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's just, that's why head-to-head matchups can mean something, but they can't mean everything. They just can't. And I think the Bills are a fascinating team. I want to see the Bills continue to build momentum, continue to show their own level of dominance, how deep that dominance runs. Because, again, they're facing a team like the 49ers, and quite frankly, they should absolutely own them. again, and when I mean own, it doesn't mean that they have to win by 35 here. I don't mean it like that, but it should just be clear when you're watching that game that the 49ers are not on the level of the Bills. It should be very clear. It should be obvious, whether Purdy's playing or whoever the heck is playing. It should be very obvious. Yep, you can't stop Josh Allen. You can't stop that run game. That defense is firing at all cylinders. Let's go. Like, that's what you're going to be expecting from the Buffalo Bills. And you want to continue to see Josh Allen have these games where you're like, he's the MVP. If you get back into some of these kind of like, I don't know type games, then you can start to like, then you can understand maybe Brou's argument a little bit more and say, okay, the Ravens need to be elevated, especially if they beat the Eagles and if the Bills kind of like squeak out a win against the 49ers, then you can kind of maybe start to make that argument. You know what? Maybe we just throw the Ravens in there, and now it's just the Eagles, the Ravens, the Lions, the Chiefs, and the Bills all in the same tier. And it's just, again, it's the definition of just any given Sunday. It's like, yeah, we have to just kind of wait and see what happens. None of these teams are necessarily better or worse than anyone else. It's just what's going to happen come time Saturday or Sunday, in the playoffs. I think that is most likely the more realistic scenario out of anything. That none of these teams are truly head and shoulders above anyone else. I think technically the Lions, the Eagles, and the Bills have the greatest potential to be that, because I think what makes some of those of their teams special has the ability to dominate in ways and more consistently than some of these other teams. I would add Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens in there, but I fundamentally do not trust that their coaching staff would put them in a position to actually dominate, because I've already seen the bizarre decisions that they've made and all of the bizarre penalties that they continue to get. What makes the Chiefs special is not their ability to dominate or to really back a team against the wall. It's just their ability to get the job done when it matters most. It's why I don't find them fundamentally scary. They're still deadly. They can still do damage, and they are still clearly a top team in the NFL, but they don't scare me as much as a Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, all the weapons that both the Lions and the Eagles have. So that's why there's just so many different levels to this. And kind of where they're at. And like even Nick Wright has admitted himself, the scariest play in all of football is Josh Allen on the move, right? And I think that's accurate. Josh Allen is just like I always say, he's an absolute monster and a beast. So at any moment, he can truly take over a game. The way how Patrick Mahomes has been playing this season, you don't have that same level of fear. You're going to have the fear that the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes have the ball with 1:30 to go and they're down by 2 or something. Yeah, you're going to have that fear without a doubt. But again, it's just going to hit a little differently, considering how this season has unfolded, as we even just saw perfectly illustrated in the head-to-head matchup with the Bills versus the Chiefs. And when we see what the Eagles do to a team like the Rams, the Bengals, what we see what the Lions do to the Jags, the Panthers, whoever, the Titans, right? We can see that onslaught. We can see what they're capable of doing. And that's why it's kind of interesting that the Bills kind of have a little bit of everything going for themselves. So to me, I can't wait to see kind of how a few of these other games go. And if memory serves me correctly, they're actually playing the Lions, I believe. So we're definitely going to continue to see who this team is and just how top level they are. But this whole idea that it's insane, that it's a travesty that the Bills are over the Ravens, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. If you want to argue that they're on the same level or they're right next to each other, or right below one another, that's fine. But to act like it's insane, that it's an absurd take, that oh my God, how could you even say that? No, that doesn't make any sense. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Buffalo Bills? And it's a travesty that they're over the Ravens. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.